Well, Arsenal preparing Eberechi as a bid, and it's anticipated to obviously be going in anytime from now. Much like button, comment, and share. We are also having a talk about João Palhinha and Díaz down in Germany. So we are here to bring you the latest news and information as far as everything is really concerned. First video of the day, 3rd August it is, and hope you guys are really watching in to the fullest. And continue to subscribe because we want to hit 30,000 subscribers, and with this bit of drive, I know it will obviously take us far and take us places into the mix. So where should we start from, guys? Let's first call in for 300 likes on this video, guys. Show us the love and continue to subscribe. And we are obviously going to be bumping in like no other can do. Now, I brought you a story about Eberechi that his release clause was really expiring 1 day back. You understand? After its expiry, I told you the permutations that Arsenal are obviously working upon to simulate and see to it that they obviously get this deal done and dusted. Now, the release clause is one of those that you have to pay at once. If it's £68 million like of Eberechi, obviously you have to pay it at once. If you negotiate to obviously pay it in installments, they'll obviously add in like some £5 million into the original price. You understand? Now, what Arsenal got to understand was that they needed to obviously negotiate this down. And guess what they did? When they negotiated it down, you know what happened. Arsenal found themselves in a position of really bypassing the release clause because it was expiring 1 day ago. And what does that offer them? It offers them ample time to obviously negotiate on what we call an affordable price. And the affordable price that Arsenal is expected to obviously be negotiating on, and the bid they're supposed to be submitting, has been revealed in here. And on the 1st of August, they are coming through a site known as transfernews.com. They told us that a formal proposal for Eberechi is expected from Arsenal early next week, with the total value of their package expected to come to £52 million. This would consist of an upfront payment of £30 million, followed by a second installment of £22 million to be paid over the next 2 years. So, Arsenal's plan is ready. And this shows you the brilliancy of the new man at Arsenal, that is Andre Batha. He was like, why should I obviously come in and obviously put myself into a place or a position of, one, paying a release clause when it's obviously going to be expiring in some time to come before even the summer transfer window really comes to an end. So it shows you the brilliance of this guy, and Andre Batha is really a genius. He's really a special kind of person, because negotiating such a deal doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. Let no one let you know that it comes that easy. It doesn't come easy. It really comes with experience and knowing the details of what you need to obviously execute such a deal. So I think it's really brilliant that he really understood that we want Eberechi, but all we want to do is let his release clause really come to the expiry. And when it came to the expiry, Arsenal said, this is where we want Crystal Palace to be at, and we are going to obviously tell Crystal Palace that, one, let's negotiate a fee. And the fee Arsenal is thinking of is £52 million. Now, it's not only transfernews.com that came up with such a story, but also another tier 1 journalist known as Ben came up with the same story. And I think he really said the following, and it shows you that transfernews.com really had a very good source. And Ben has told us that the Arsenal hierarchy believe that a £55 million bid will be sufficient to complete, you understand, to complete the transfer of Eberechi from Crystal Palace. His release clause expired yesterday, but one. So Ben is telling us a fee in a region of £55 million, and transfernews.com are telling us a fee in a region of £55 million. And when you look at that, when you look at those two fees they're obviously talking about, I tell you what, they are really almost close, meaning that Arsenal don't see Eberechi as even being a player to obviously cost close to a player costing close to 60 million pounds, and they believe that 55 million pounds they'll obviously find themselves in a position of really getting themselves a deal of Eberechi Eze done and dusted. So we wait and see how that pans out. But I think if I told you Crystal Palace, if you're Crystal Palace and you have Eberechi Eze, and you found yourself in a position of really getting this player for only 17 million pounds, if you're making a profit of 38 million pounds of his sale, I think Crystal Palace would have gone ahead to make what we call a very huge price of money a very huge profit out of the deal of Eberechi Eze. So for me, if I'm Palace, I'll obviously say, let it happen that way. You understand? But I know Palace will be like, you're going to make it 60. And I think they'll be discussing it around that period in there for you. So, as it stands, guys, it's not obviously going to be an easy negotiation. But I know Andrew Batha, with his experience, he has already laid out the tricks that will obviously turn around this deal in favor of Arsenal, and he will obviously come up and persuade them to obviously dance to the tunes of Arsenal. So we wait and see how that pans out. But that's exactly what we heard about Eberechi Eze, and looks like Arsenal are charging for their 7th signing of the season. And I tell you what, there is a story I've just gone here to see. They might even make an 8th signing or a 10th signing. Guys, Arsenal is on fire. And one will ask me, you're talking about 7 signings. Who are the 6? I'll iterate myself a lot on this, but this is my job. I need to remind you. Kepa Zebalaga, Zubi Mendy, Nogard, Madueke, Mosquera, Victor Gyökeres. So far, those are 6 signings that Arsenal have gone ahead to make, and there are 2 more that they're eyeing. And Eberechi Eze's bid, it looks like next week, is obviously going to be going in, and you guys will obviously understand that Arsenal is not a joking subject in there for you. So they've gone ahead, obviously strengthen themselves well, and I think I'll obviously come up with a match preview very soon, because the side of Arsenal is going to be taking on a side called Villarreal on Wednesday, and I think I haven't gone ahead to do a match preview for any of these preseason games, but I'll obviously have to do one for you, and you guys will obviously come and really thank me later. You understand? So that is it for now in here onto the Rokani Media Football, and that is Eberechi Eze for you. And I'm going to be learning another story about Eberechi Eze on how Arsenal see this guy. Do they see him as that person who is obviously going to be coming in through to obviously make it easy for them to obviously go through, or they really look at him as that player who is obviously going to be taking on the role of Odegaard? You understand? Now, from there, allow us take you through into a story of another side known as Tottenham Hotspur. João Palhinha was a here we go sounded, and he completed his medical, as Fabrizio Romano went ahead to obviously tell us the following. He told us that João Palhinha has completed his medical as new Tottenham Hotspur player. Formal steps to follow between clubs after deal agreed on loan with salary covered by Tottenham Hotspur, and 30 million euros buy option clause not mandatory. Now he returns to the Premier League, and you already know this, but the reason as why I've gone ahead obviously to do this story is because of this other story that Sky Sports have gone ahead obviously put out today. That signing João Palhinha on loan will give Tottenham Hotspur flexibility to spend funds elsewhere in the remainder of the window. The priority is to bolster the attacking options, while they also want to add a fullback and a number 10. Now, the side of Tottenham Hotspur is strengthening, and when João Palhinha comes in through, it sends a message to you that Spurs wants to compete hugely into the Champions League. And I think their owner is really so much Champions League minded, and he's not even trophy minded, provided he goes to the Champions League. But this time round, the only way they had to obviously go to the Champions League was to win what we call A, UEFA Europa League final where they beat Mani by 1-0, and it really went on like that. So after going on like that, a lot really went ahead to see to it that Ange Postecoglou was sacked, and they brought in Thomas Frank, a manager who was obviously gone ahead to really bring in Kudus, They've gone ahead to bring in now João Palhinha, and they also wanted to bring in a player known as White. He's called who? This guy of Nottingham Forest even went ahead to complete his medical. They had figured his release close, but he went hard. He went back, and he really renewed his contract with Nottingham. You understand? So that's what they really had as a side of. That's what they really had as a side of Spurs, and that setback needs to be really covered. That's why they're telling you that the bringing of João Palhinha will help them really save some money to bring in a number 10, because Gibbs White was seen as that player who would obviously come in through and bluster that number 10 position, because James Maddison is unreliable because he's not injury immune. That's his problem. So that is it. For the side of Palhinha, he comes in through at the side of Spurs. And remember, he was at Fulham. He's a Premier League proven player. They're getting in a guy who everyone knows that he's good at his job. And I think for João Palhinha, when you look at how Vitinha and João Neves have gone ahead to obviously overthrow him from the starting 11 of the national team of Portugal, you obviously understand that it's not obviously gonna be easy for him to get back into the team. But I think Spurs can be used as a stepping stone for him to obviously get back. If at all he performs very well in that midfield, I think Roberto Martinez, the manager of Portugal, obviously have to think twice and say, I think we need to do something for this guy. And what something is supposed to be doing, getting him the best of the best as he really wants it to be. So that's for you. That's Arsenal for you. Sorry, that's Spurs for you. Another rival for the club of Arsenal strengthening. And remember, the first friendly North London derby went down, and guess who went ahead? Obviously, lose. It was none other than. It was none other than. It was none other than Arsenal. They lost 1-0 to Spurs. Now, let's go to Bayern Munich. New signing, that is Luis Díaz, obviously came up and went ahead, obviously put in a very huge performance. But guess what happened? At Sky Sports Germany are telling us Luis Díaz complained of knee pain after the final whistle yesterday. But it was just a minor scare. After a brief treatment, Lucho quickly gave a thumbs up and was able to walk normally towards the tunnel. Now, Bayern Munich are really preparing to obviously do their season. And they went ahead, obviously, bring in a player known as Luis Díaz. Remember, when Leroy Sané went ahead to obviously vacate the club of Bayern Munich on a free and he signed for Galatasaray, then the other player who would obviously do the needful, went ahead to find himself in a position of getting an injury. You see how he twisted his leg, you understand? That is Musiala. After Musiala went ahead, obviously break his leg, when he really went into collusion with the goalkeeper, which I think we're playing Real Madrid, right? So they're like, we needed a left forward. And on their list, they really had many. Luis Díaz, Nico Williams. After he renewed his contract with Atletico Bilbao, they were like, we are not obviously going to be going for him. Rafael was there. Alejandro Garnacho was there on the list. And Leandro Trossard. Now, looks like they've gone ahead to find the best version of the player they want. And he goes by the names of Luis Díaz. But in the game they played, I think yesterday, after the end, he really felt some pain in his legs. And that pain resulted into everyone getting scared. But the physio report has obviously gone ahead to obviously indicate that the player is fine and he managed to obviously do the needful. In that game, Michael Olise scored 2 goals, in the 53rd minute and a penalty in the 62nd minute. But Luis Díaz came off the bench. He never really started. And he really did a very good job into the mix as they try to obviously see to it that he gets into the team of, he gets well into the team of Bayern Munich. So guys, I call upon for your reactions into the comment section below about Arsenal preparing Eberechi as a bid. 52 to 55 million pounds bid anticipated anytime from now. And I want you to tell me what do you think about João Palhinha. Spurs are jubilating that the coming in through of João Palhinha has helped them save some good amount of money, and that amount of money is obviously gonna be helping them to bring in a number 10, a fullback, as they want to bolster the attacking line. Do you think that was really a wise move? And then the man known as Luis Díaz, obviously feeling pain after the referee put a whistle to his mouth. What do you make about it? And your reactions will be hugely welcomed onto this channel. I sign out for now. See you later. Bye-bye.